Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Connor Gossatti about Resident Evil, dropping July 15th on Netflix worldwide. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
I mean, long time no see, I guess we could say.
I know. In and out.
I think, though, one of the things that I love the most about the Resident Evil brand and franchise is kind of the horror component. And for this one specifically, I feel like the horror was kind of put first. It had a lot of creepy things, it had a lot of like scary things and everything. Did you notice that a little bit when you were kind of like filming it and seeing everything?
Absolutely. A lot of my scenes actually, I was in a lot more of the tamer scenes, the more high school sort of setting environments. But when I watched the show for the first time, it really caught me off guard, because I had read the script of all the episodes, but only filming what I had been a part of. I watched the show and it was really like, oh my gosh, like it really is, a horror show.
Yeah.
In the end. And I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise, as well. And seeing the infected, the lickers, all of these things come to life was just, it looked amazing,
Is there pressure a little bit in regards to, it's interesting because we know Resident Evil, we know the brand, but we don't know what we're about to see on the 15th. Like, we don't know that, you know what I mean? Like, we know some of the characters are related to characters we know and everything, but we don't know that world. So I feel like it's a weird feeling, you know what I mean? Like, there's familiarity, but at the same time, there's not familiarity.
Yeah, I think that's actually even a good thing about it, as much as it is strange. And again, I'm a big fan of the games, and
Yep.
I'm a gamer, and I know how attached the gaming community can be to the franchises that they love. So of course, a big responsibility on taking on a title like that. But I think what we've done here is we've taken this beloved franchise, but we're leading it in a new direction, which I think is exciting, because it's fun rehashing things we've already done.
Yep.
But, we're taking, Albert Wesker, for all the fans that would already know, but for the ones that don't, Albert Wesker is probably one of the most iconic villains of all time in gaming history. And now we get to follow this completely new sort of origin story with him and his family, which is something we've never seen. And as a fan myself, that is what would hook me onto this show and what keeps things interesting for them. But then for newcomers, it could be their way into the franchise,
That's a really good thing. That I feel like is the best part. That's what I said on the junket, speaking to all your cast. I think the new fans and the old fans coming together with this series. I feel like there's not much more that doesn't get better than that, right? That's like the perfect thing. Are you a big gamer?
I am.
So I feel like it's so funny, right? Because I feel like at one point, I hit a wall and I just was officially old, because my idea of a good time was, instead of going to concerts and going to bars and stuff, my idea of a good time was just staying home on a Saturday night and just playing video games with my friends.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of horror video games out there though, but Resident Evil kind of paved the way for a lot of those. So what's that like, being part of a project that is a little bit of a groundbreaking project in that regards as well? It's you're part of a groundbreaking brand, so to speak.
Yeah, it's when I first found out, incredibly intimidating, particularly being part of that gaming community and know how much people love this franchise, and all you ever want to do is do them justice, and do the franchise justice. So it was incredibly intimidating, but then such an honor to be able to say that you were not only a part of something that I already love, but then to be a part of it and kind of continue it on.
Of course.
Now, Resident Evil has, there's so many games, films, animations, it's endless. But I really think our show, because we're continuing on from the storyline, it adds on to, for the fans, and to get these new explorations and ideas of characters that we do already know, but then adding in these new cool characters into the franchise. I think it's such an honor to be able to say you're a part of something like that.
You are from Australia.
I am.
And every time I interview someone from Australia, I always ask this question. And if you say no, I feel like you're lying because like I can't do spiders.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can't do that. There's a lot of spiders around. People say when you go to the big cities, they're not around, and like if you go to kind of like the more kind of like rural areas or like the country areas, like that's where you're gonna see them. But they're around the big cities too, right?
It's always tricky to say because I don't, because you say yes and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, no, I can't go, all these poisonous spiders. They are in the cities, but you're not going to come across, they're not everywhere, and they hide. But
also the big ones, right?
Yes.
They're like the ones that aren't that big of a deal, right? Because it's the small ones that are the poisonous ones.
It's the little ones. Yeah, no. And it's funny. I hate spiders too, even though, I'm from Australia. I hate them. The big ones are the ones that scare me more than the little ones, even though I know the little ones are deadly. You see the size of these big ones. And it's just like, oh my God.
I remember seeing Chris Hemsworth took a photo a couple years ago of like a spider he found like outside his house.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's insane. Yeah, but I mean, you'll be fine. You're not fighting for your life every day.
Well, the thing is like, someone compared it. They were like, in Canada there are bears and beavers. Like, but the thing is, like, there's bears and beavers if you go to like camping and everything, right?
Yeah.
But from what I hear, there's like spiders also in like the big cities too. And like the thing is also, it's funny because Australia too for sharks, right? They're known for a lot of sharks, right? Yes. But that takes a backseat for these spiders, right?
Yeah, honestly, it's everything, man. Most things are venomous in Australia, but again, because of that, we have so many great, companies that are creating anti-venom all the time. Mm-hmm. So rarely now are there many fatalities at all in poison-related incidences. Mm-hmm. But sure, it still doesn't take away, the intimidation of when you see any of them, and particularly
for sure. We'll get back to Resident Evil very quickly too. Yes. You obviously it was like Resident Evil American show and everything, Netflix, huge, right? Is there anything you can tell me about like how's the Australian TV and film scene? Like, is it getting better? Like, what kind of shows or movies are being shot there?
It's getting better.
Okay.
And where I'm from the West Coast.
Okay.
So that's from a city named Perth. And the scene, when I was maybe 10 years ago, it was like dead. There was nothing at all, not even many actors like coming out of Perth. Now, and it's funny enough, since COVID, actually, I feel like the film scene is spreading out more worldwide. We had a lot of projects filming over on the East Coast, like Elvis was filmed in Queensland. And it is starting to get up there. We're building more studios now in Australia, which is super exciting for us because, it's harder for us to get that American work because we don't have the visas. But so hopefully we can bring the work to us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. But getting back to Resident Evil, it feels like, your character specifically in terms of you as an actor preparing for this role and everything. I mean, this was a big deal. This was a big deal for you. This is a big first project for you. There's a lot happening with this character and everything. What was that journey like in terms of preparation and mindsets for this character specifically on Resident Evil?
Once I finally got all of the scripts for all the episodes and I read through the whole thing, the first thing I noticed was just how much intense stuff is going on like all the time.
Yep.
But what I found with Simon and his scenes is that it was the tame scenes, it was the high school scenes, the party scenes. And I got really attached to the idea of Simon bringing the humanity back into the show, reminding the audience that they're just kids, they're teenagers. And there's all of this crazy stuff going on, but at the end of the day, they just want to fall in love and go to parties and have that teenage experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it was the most important factor for playing Simon and where I invested most of my time on getting right for the show to bring that humanity back.
Absolutely. No, that's really well said. Is it starting to hit you more and more now that it's like finally coming out like on Netflix?
Yeah. It's like, crazy.
You speak to a lot of the outlets of the junkets and everything, and I feel like obviously like that day that kind of hits you that it's coming out. But like, what about the couple of weeks before that? Like, was it slowly kind of creeping up to you a little bit?
It was funny because we finished filming this a year ago, actually.
Okay.
So it's been a year, and it kind of like in the middle, it did kind of die down. I kind of forgot about it, not forgot, but it kind of just like was out of the forefront of my mind. And now it's everywhere now, and it's super exciting for me. Again, I've never been on a project on this sort of scale, so seeing like how much publicity or just effort is going through all of that to promote the show is insane. And again, it's intimidating but exciting at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the word I put you on the spot at the junket. Final word to describe. You're like, excitement. No, it's so crazy too to think that it's gonna drop and instantly, like what I think is the coolest but sometimes scariest thing about this whole thing, Connor, is like people talk about like the access, like it's great, like over 100 countries all around the world are gonna be able to see it, but it's like how quick it is, right? Is the quickness the thing that it's crazy, right? Like how quick everything is.
And it's funny, it'll probably be watched really quickly too, and then we move on. I mean, we live in such a day and age where we're constantly consuming, everything is so quick, it's hard to get any space to breathe. So, I'll be interested to see how it is perceived and, how quickly it comes and goes, I guess. But yeah, as long as it brings anyone some sort of joy, entertainment, for fans, new fans, old fans, that's why we do it,
Absolutely. No, it's such a rush, but it's also like, it's so amazing just to see how things look, right? Kind of like we said at the beginning, like how things look. That's the best part about it, right? Like you shoot this thing, it doesn't do it justice because you're shooting it. There's effects and everything sometimes, and and then you look at it, you're like, wow, like we did that, right?
yeah, exactly.
That is so great, Connor. Thank you so much for coming on Popternative again.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, it was good to chat with you. Okay, Resident Evil is going to be available pretty soon on Netflix, which is wild. And is there an Instagram account people can keep update with you at? Do you think follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, I've got an Instagram account. Yeah, you can check me out on there if you want to.
Is it just your name?
Yeah, Connor_Gossatti. That's all it is.
Perfect. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. Previous episodes. Until next time, this is Connor Gossatti. You're going to be able to catch in Resident Evil streaming very soon on Netflix worldwide. And PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.